All right, welcome in. It's Friday. Another two-man show today. Believe Tokyo Brandon's going to be on his way to the States. So we want him to get a jump on that travel. And so you're stuck with the two of us today, but we've got an hour's worth of baseball content and plenty of games to choose from, Bryan Leonard. So let's get right into it. I told the folks yesterday that unless they were very, very loud in the chat on a certain game, I would try to stick to the games that have a little bit of meaning. And the nice thing about this, Bryan, is that suddenly, because certain teams can't win, specifically in the American League, we have actually in the National League too, we have more meaningful games. If you told me we were going to get this kind of playoff race in September, like 6 weeks ago, I would not have believed you. I thought both leagues were going to be pretty wrapped up at this point, but some of these teams just can't win. And now we've got postseason races. So little slow here getting this going this morning. So we'll let the people creep in. But I think where we start, let's start in the National League with a large rivalry and one that's now very important to the San Francisco Giants, much more important to the Giants than I thought it might have been 5 weeks ago when it looked like they were out of it. But the New York Mets have lost 6 straight. And here comes Cincinnati. Here comes San Francisco. Both of those two teams are 1.5 games out of a playoff spot. And it's the Dodgers trying to hold on to the the NL West right now. So let's start there. We have San Francisco, Los Angeles, big rivalry. And now there's some big implications for this weekend series. Welcome in, folks. Okay, it looks like the people are filing in now. So here we go. Dodgers, Giants, Yamamoto, Verlander. How are you seeing this one?
Yeah, we talked just the other day about how much the Padres regretted blowing that divisional lead last year and how much it meant to them, and they have not picked up their play at all. Actually, right now I just looked, and believe it or not, the Texas Rangers now have about a 28% chance of making the playoffs, where after Seager got hurt, they were really written off. So, yeah, we're getting a little bit more excitement. I don't know if there's going to be any changes, but some of these teams took their foot off the gas, and now they're having a hard time getting it back on. So, yeah, some pretty good baseball out there. And this game, we're looking at the Dodgers Yamamoto against Verlander. Who would have thought we'd have a game with Verlander at home this late in the season that meant anything? Because for a long time, he didn't have a single win, and they weren't even sure that he was going to finish off the season. Yamamoto, about a 155 favorite here, total of 8. Yamamoto's been terrific for the Dodgers all season long. They're one guy that's been able to make all these starts. He's got 27 starts on the season after 18 in his first year last year. So he's been everything they've asked for. 2.72 ERA, 2.66 expected, 1.01 whip. A lot of red on his TechCast page, 95th percentile expected ERA, 90th ground ball rate. So it doesn't give up a lot of home runs. And, it's hard to go against them, especially if the Dodgers offense is working and they're getting some guys back. They just had Muncy come back the other day. And so and they had Edman come back. So the Dodgers are getting themselves ready for where they need to be come playoff time, and some of their starters are coming back. So Dodgers are setting themselves up pretty well, getting up for this playoffs. The Giants, Verlander, just 3-10 on the season, but he's down to a 4.09 ERA, 4.20 expected, 1.39 whip, which is really last 2 years 1.39 and 1.38 on his whip, and that's not characteristic of Verlander. He's still only in the 16th percentile in ground ball rate, 17th percentile extension, but his hard hit rate, 76th percentile. That's what he does best. No, he's not traditional Justin Verlander, but he is a major league pitcher that is doing just as well as just about anybody else. I would have him on the lower side, but he's been much better lately than he had earlier in the season. Oh, and I'm taking a look at this game. I prefer the Dodgers, but I don't want to lay this number. If I can get something down in the 145 range, I may look at this. This is one of those games that I talked about earlier a month, 2 months ago, when I talked about the Dodgers picking games to play and games to sit out. Basically not giving the management, not giving it their all. They're playing one of their big rivals, the Giants, Arizona, and Padres. Those are the games in which the Dodgers seem to get up for, like the Dodgers here. But the Giants continue. I mean, you take a look at the WRC plus over the last 14 weeks. Giants continue to be the best hitting team in baseball, 147. And it's been that way for about 3 weeks now. The next closest is the Mets at 126, and we know how hot the Mets were for a while. So I don't want to get in front of a hot batting San Francisco team here at that price. So slightly into LA, but probably won't get there.
Yeah, I'm kind of like with you on not really wanting to play against either of these teams right now. The Giants, phenomenal energy in that clubhouse. They're kind of they're reminiscent of like a team like the Rockies had a couple of these over the years where they were out of it all year and they got super hot. I think 2018, and then of course the year they went to the World Series, which is a long time ago at this point. But that team, if you remember, was not even in the playoff mix, and I think they won like 16 of 17 to like sneak into the wild card. Eventually lost to the Red Sox in the World Series, I think 2007. Reason I bring that up is just to sort of make the illustration, like the Giants right now, not only are they hitting the ball well, but everything, the vibes are high, if you will, right? I think that's how what the kids would say, Brian. The vibes are high in that clubhouse. And I got to be honest, like that's something in September, mid-September, I tend to not want to play against. If this was May and they're having a little winning streak, I'm going to say, okay, that's probably going to go the other way at some point. But when you're in a 162 game season, you can see the finish line. And now you start to throw like you've been chasing this playoff berth that's now starting to become a reality. That's like not really what I want to bet against here. And then you talk about getting a guy like Justin Verlander. Well, Justin Verlander at his current age on a game in, game out basis is not Justin Verlander of a few years ago or of what he was most of his career. But like, you can't tell me that like Verlander, September, he knows the importance of this game. Like, are there that many other guys that you'd want on the mound in this spot, right? Like he's a veteran guy, at least at the very least, he's going to be very well prepared for this game. He's going to know exactly how he wants to attack the Dodgers hitters. This is a guy that his last 2 starts, 11 innings, 0 runs, 16 strikeouts. He's still getting swing and miss. So it's not, I wouldn't want to lay a price on the road to fade Verlander here. Like, it's just not the spot to do it. I'm not saying the Dodgers won't win this series. I'm not saying that there's not going to be good spots this weekend to bet the Dodgers. I think I'd prefer Giants plus 1.5 here in what feels like it's going to be a scrappy game. Like, this really, to me, feels like a game that kind of goes down to the wire. Maybe one way or the other, there's a timely hit that decides this one. And if that plus 1.5 got any more affordable, got any cheaper, I might grab it. Minus 130 feels like it's priced in the right spot. But man, Brian, I don't want to go against the Giants right now. There's just too much positive energy in that clubhouse for me to want to fade them and lay a price to do so. So I'd have to be on the Giants or pass.
Yeah, I would agree a little bit with the plus 1.5 because you're getting a total of 7.5. And anytime you get a low total game, the 1.5 means more. Obviously, 1.5 in Colorado doesn't mean anything like it does in Chase Stadium or the Met Stadium, whatever they're calling it these days. But yeah, it's we're looking at some interesting totals on today's games, and I just saw that the Texas and the Mets game was just hit on the total, and that's another game that has a lot going on today. I'll just take this one over at this point because I knew you're going to get there eventually. But
yeah,
we got DeBram going against Tong, and Texas since Seager has left, I'm really not impressed with their offense at all. And you've got DeGrom on the mound, and he's been great. And if you take a look at the park factors today in New York City for this game, the wind's blowing slightly out to the left, but it's still 9% is the runs, expected 9% less than a normal major league game. So I'm looking at the under in this game, and I think it has a little bit of value because I just don't trust the offenses between these two teams right now. We're looking at as I said, the Mets with Tong going. Tong has pitched 2 games, and the first game he looked really good. Then he had to go on the road to Cincinnati, a big home run hitting ballpark, gave up 3 home runs in that game. That's really not what we expect out of him so far. It's only a small sample size. He's only pitched 11 innings, but he should be around league average in that regard. So giving up 3 home runs on the road, I think, is something you're not normally going to see out of him. He comes in with a 4.09 ERA, 4.15 expected, 1.18 WHIP. His overall numbers good, very good, but not great like he looked in that first start. But I think we'll see more of him at his best in this one. DeGrom, 2.78 ERA, 3.24 expected, 0.93 WHIP. Yes, his ground ball rate's in the 42nd percentile, hard hit 47th, barrel rate only in the 55th, but he keeps these guys off balance, and he's still got that great fastball, 97.5 miles an hour. He's in the 83rd percentile in strikeout rate, foof rate 85th percentile, chase rate 91st, and he doesn't walk anybody in the 86th. So if I'm looking at a game that has some meaning today, and we know this has meaning for both teams, I think this is going to be your traditional National League game before they even had the DH, where a 3-2 final, something like that. It got hit a little bit. It was slightly to the over in the 7.5, and I saw some money come in on the under a minute ago. I'm going to lock this in right now is my parlay piece. I'm going to use the Texas game under 7.5. You can get it at -110 a lot of places out there. -115 I think is the highest out there, but I'll take that 7 -110 because or 7.5, because I don't want that thing to go down to 7. I want to win on 7, which gives us a 4-3, 5-2 final. So I'll get my parlay piece out early on this busy card for a Friday.
I love it. I'm right with you on this game being a tight pitchers duel type game. Tight game. Both teams need it. I think you'll get the bullpen management as if this is a game 1 or 2 of a playoff series, where you're going to see managers try to make moves to make sure that the big inning doesn't happen. So if maybe less so with DeGrom, but I do think if Tong was to get in trouble, it'd be a quick hook. Just because he's got a little less street cred at this point, right? Like, you trust DeGrom to work out of a jam like that. I don't know if the leash is going to be as long for Jonah Tong. Now, Hurt, yes, my Giants playoff ticket is still alive. And if you watch my video on Tuesday, free pick video right here in the Wager Talk YouTube channel, Bryan Leonard, I gave out Rangers plus 12-1 to win the AL West. I said it was the right price, a good time to jump in with that. And I'm pretty happy with myself right now, because I think it's down to like 9-1. And everything the last couple days sort of played out for that to be, except for the Mariners just continue to walk off win somehow in extra innings. But everything kind of played out for that to be the case. I will say this, Rangers or Mariners win that division, I'm going to do okay. Your boy is screwed if the Astros win it. So we need them to keep losing. But neither here nor there. Back to this game. So people have been messaging me because, of course, I was very pro Mets. Bring these young guys up. Let's get it going. And it worked for a minute. And now the Mets have lost 6 straight. And they're like, Trig, what the hell? This team's are they even going to make the playoffs? Well, let me go back to what I said. I said if the Mets want to have a chance this year, they need to see if this works. I did take some positions on the Mets at that point in time, but really the whole thing was, Bryan, like, let's get these young guys up. They need these types of games so you can see if they're going to matter in the playoffs. So you can see if they're going to help you in the playoffs. So I didn't expect Tong, McLean, and Sproat to come out and just be number 1, number 2, and number 3. The goal was bring all 3 of those guys up and see which one can be a starter. It's probably going to get one. And I almost think that you've probably got it with McLean. That being said, I still think Jonah Tong's very good. Remember, this guy had 2 starts at AAA and right to the big league. So do I think that, like, him giving up a couple long balls last time out is like the end-all be-all for him? No. Do I think him going out and throwing 5 shutout innings or whatever he did against the Marlins is like he's going to do this every time? Probably not. He just hasn't had enough experience at this level. But having watched him pitch at Binghamton and just seeing sort of how he carries himself, I wouldn't be surprised if he bounced back here. He's got great stuff. Changeup is really good. I just think that the Reds had a good game plan for him. And then, of course, we always go back to Great American Ballpark. It's not a hard ball, not a hard park to hit the ball out of. And correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, that was his undoing in that game, right? A couple long balls.
Yeah, he had 3 home runs. And keep in mind, that was his first major league road game. And to play it in the obviously Colorado, but Colorado and Cincinnati are the 2 parks that you have to question. Even the good pitchers get bombed in those parks. So it was a learning experience for him. Now he's humbled a little bit. And I think he's going to come out and pitch a good game here.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. The park factors at Citi Field, Brian talks about them all the time, generally favorable to pitching. And, go back to the magnitude of this game. Both teams are going to be a little tight. The Rangers are 1.5 back. The Mets haven't won in a week. You're not playing loose anymore when you lost 6 straight and suddenly your lead on the playoffs is a 1.5 games. So I think you see tight playoff type atmosphere, Brian. I'm right with you on that under. As far as totals go, that might be as good as it gets today. All right, let's do let's head to the early game. There is people clamoring for the early game. Thank you to the Cubs for giving us daytime entertainment. I don't understand why Friday afternoons don't have a happy hour slate. I really think you should get a national TV game at 1 or 2, another one at 4 or 5, lead us right into the night card. That's how it should be. Another missed opportunity for Major League Baseball to market their sport, but at least the Cubs do it for us, Brian. So we have day baseball today. It's Shane Baz and the Rays, who are kind of cooked at this point. I think they gave it their all, if you will, and that this is the next couple weeks for the Rays might be tough. I talked about this yesterday. My parlay piece yesterday was the White Sox who got there, and I kind of think we're seeing the Rays. They gave it a heck of a run, right? Won 6 or 7 games, got back into it. Now they're clearly out. Do they get off the mat at Wrigley today, or is this a spot where the Cubs just get it done? What do you think here?
Yeah, it should be a nice day at Wrigley. Sun's out, and the wind's blowing from right to left, a little bit towards home plate. So we're getting a minus 11% on the runs. So it'll be a lower scoring game according to the weather situation here. We are looking at the Cubs. Boyd, a lefty, going against Baz, the righty. And right now, Chicago's about a 160, 165 favorite. Total 7.5 to the under. I could definitely see the reason for that. Shane Baz on the season, 4.94 ERA. He's had some ups and downs all season long. His breakout last year was only in 79 innings, but he had a 3.06 ERA. Still 4.26 in the majors in his 4 seasons. Actually, considering the division he plays in, it's not terrible, but he gets to play the Yankees and the Red Sox and Toronto all the time. So that was when in that division. So his expected ERA is 3.76. So he's a little bit better than what his actual numbers show. Still got a really good fastball, 87th percentile, ground ball rate, 78th percentile. Which shouldn't matter a whole lot today if that wind is blowing in like that. Matthew Boyd, I've talked about his innings issue. In 2023, 71 innings. Last year, basically 40. It's up to 166 right now. He has bounced back a little bit from his little dead arm period. 2.92 ERA, 3.43 expected, 1.06 whip. But if you take a look at the Statcast page, he's at this point, more of a league average pitcher. So you may be paying a price to get him here. That 2.92 ERA, if you were to ask me if that's going to be over or under that number by the end of the season, and I know he's only got a few starts left, but I think it would be over. So slight lean with the Cubs. Don't want to lay that number. And I would think it would be a lower scoring game with what's going on right now. Probably a game I'm not going to get involved in, unfortunately, because I do like to watch the games. But with football coming up this weekend, I'm probably going to have to pass that one. Got to get all my write-ups out there for football. And by the way, we did have a 5% play in baseball yesterday. We had Cleveland. They came back late and won that game. So 15, I think we're 15-4 now on our 4% or better in Major League Baseball. So Still working on today's card. Don't know if I'll have any big plays out there, but it's been a pretty good run for us. And I appreciate everybody who joined just yesterday.
That's awesome. That's like you're really all in on that, Brian. You got a 5%er and it's the Guardian. So you're either going to be very happy or very miserable. So I'm glad it worked out for you. I got a 5% NFL up. I have all my college football college football NFL plays are mostly up on my page. Thankfully, I've been winning there and in the lesser baseball leagues because I have not. It's just been I've been on one of those 3-week or so ruts where I just seem to be on the other side of every timely hit in the client plays. My most recent client play was Wednesday night. I had Cardinals plus 1.5, and I got walked off in the 13th inning to lose by 2. So that's just sort of, I didn't play anything in MLB yesterday. Should have actually played the White Sox. That was my parlay piece. But I can't complain because I'm winning overall. So it'd be really bad of me to come on here and just like vent because all the other stuff's winning, and we'll get there in MLB at some point. And if I have one, if I lock one in on this show at any point in time, I'm just going to let you know. So obviously stay tuned to the end. And that was my sort of roundabout way at promoting myself because Tokyo Brandon's not here today. And I always forget to promote when he's not here. And someone in the chat said no TB today. He's on his way to the States and he's got a long flight ahead of him. So he needs to kind of get his ducks in a row before, I suppose. What's that flight? Like 15 hours? It's like a really long flight, right? To Phoenix or wherever he's going.
Yeah, we're gonna. He's flying into Phoenix. He's going to be in Vegas. I think Thursday or next. Yeah, pretty soon. Next week or whatever. And we're going to head out, and I'll take some pictures. Got to know a lot of people like TB and see what he dresses like. He normally dresses like a normal person in the United States, but you never know.
It's Vegas. Maybe in
it's
Phoenix,
Vegas.
Is
it the EDM where all everybody dresses crazy? It's not EDM, but he'll dress a little bit.
Yeah. So as far as back to the game today, the problem with this one is the books have already adjusted the Rays sort of being done. So it's like, and goes back to what I kind of was talking about yesterday. That White Sox series, you still had value in playing against a team that had played so good for a stretch to get back into it and clearly has run out of gas. That's not to say that that's not still the case, but now they're going to really make you pay for it to the point where I just don't see any value in taking the Cubs because it's like, on a given day, if the Rays show up, they can still play a good baseball game. The problem is you're trying to figure out, this is a team that's really gone all out to get back into this race. Now they've lost back-to-back games, 5-5 in their last 10. They're 6.5 out. My gut tells me the Rays are not going to win many games the rest of the way. I just think like they may struggle to stay near 500 coming into play today, 72, 74. I don't know. Honestly, like, is there motivation for them to finish with a 500 record? Probably not. So I think the next few weeks, you're just going to kind of see them play out the string. That's how I truly feel about the Rays. Problem is the Cubs, they're kind of locked into their spot as well. They're not going to catch the Brewers. They're not going to lose their playoff spot. So you may see that too from the Cubs. I think I'd go under again here. It just feels like a game where early start might not be a ton of energy. The 7.5, obviously, because the two pitchers are very good, but does that imply that there might be some wind blowing in, Brian? Because usually you see 7.5s at Wrigley, might be some wind.
Yeah, like I said, moving from right field to left field towards home plate. And because of Boyd's innings, it would not surprise me if it's a 5 and fly for him. Talked about that. Sale, I believe, had one yesterday, and another guy who the innings are piling up and they don't need the win. So you're going to find you're coming down the stretch. If you're basing most of your handicap on starting pitching, which a lot of people do, just keep in mind these guys are going to go the 5 and fly. They're not going to get the 6 and 7 innings out of them that you would have earlier. So keep that in mind and adjust that towards the bullpens a little bit more, a certain percentage towards the bullpens.
Yeah, and I apologize if you commented on the weather while I was like trying to organize my notes over here.
You got other things to do now that Brandon's not here to write stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying, and I already told you I would fail at writing the timestamps down, which I have. So I'll have to go back and do that after the show. But the great point you make about like the length these pitchers will go. Both of these guys within the last year or two have fought an injury of some sort. So I'd be shocked if either of them are pushed very deep in this game. This might be a spot where if you're into those pitcher type props, I don't know what the number is, but I'd be really surprised if either Baz or Matt Boyd like far exceed, goes over their prop. Now I'm not sure which one's going to be priced as the premium option, but you got to think, Bryan, with a 7.5 total, one of these guys is going to be like there's probably going to be like an 18 or 17.5 on the outs, because you wouldn't have a 7.5 with these two starters and then have the book say, oh, but one of them's not going very deep. They're going to be priced to pitch well and go deep into the game. Even if they do pitch well, like Bryan's saying, might be 5 innings here, because I just don't think either club has any sort of there's nothing good that can come of pushing either of these guys deep into the game right now, and possibly risking injury to someone that's been injury prone. So I'll call it under their outs total for both of them.
I think the prop out there, I can't play it here, but that Brandon's used in the past. Will this pitcher get a win? I think betting against both these pitchers would be pretty good, because we may only see Boyd for 4 innings, which wouldn't qualify him for the win. And with the line of 7.5, there's not going to be many runs scored, so there's more of a chance for the game to be tied, and may not be in position to get that victory. So
great point.
Yeah, I don't have that out there, but something to keep in mind for those shopping for something to play on this early game on today's card.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. There's so many different ways you can sort of like oppose these pitchers going deep. And then maybe you're under the full game under is just your hedge, because you know what I mean? I mean, if the only way that either of these guys is going to pitch in the 6th or 7th inning is if they're just so efficient, lights out, 1, 2, 3, which is going to put you in the great position for a full game under. So yeah, that's definitely ways to get involved early if you want action in that early game. All right, Colin, he says we got to talk the game of the day. And he says the game of the day is Red Sox Yankees. I don't know how much I agree with that.
Never heard of it.
But it is certainly a rivalry, impactful. Both teams are still very much in the mix. If one were to get super hot, maybe to catch the Blue Jays, but both are going to the playoffs. At least they should, unless there's a Red Sox-esque collapse. I'll never forget that year, the year that the Red Sox really tanked and Evan Longoria hit that ball that ended up eliminating them from the playoffs. I had so many Red Sox futures that year, like at great prices to win the World Series, and they didn't even get to the playoffs. Still one of like the most mind-numbing, I think, baseball results of all time. Can't remember. That had to be like 10 years ago at this point, but I'll just never forget, like Longoria was like in a meaningless game, like hit a walk-off that I think eliminated the Red Sox from the playoffs after being like 10 games up going into September. Anyway, digress right there. Back to this year. Yankees, Red Sox. What do we have tonight, Bryan? Lucas Giolito, Fenway Park?
That's what I'm seeing here. The win, the runs expected is 9% more, which is Fenway's a pretty good hitter's ballpark. The wind's blowing from right to left, slightly out, but not a ton. Not a lot of sun there, so it's not going to be one of those type of days. But the Yankees and the Red Sox have got Hill against Giolito. Hill's about a 120 favorite in that range right now. Total of 8.5 to the over or 9 to the under, pretty much right in the middle there. When I'm taking a look at this game, you take a look at what Luis Hill has done since he's come back. He's only had 35 innings so far. 3.31 ERA is not bad, but his expected ERA is 4.87, 1.53 WHIP. That's what he does. His walk rate is, believe it or not, right now his walk rate of 14.9 is a career high. The last 2 years it went down a little bit, but that's he's at 12.9 in his career walk rate. And these teams know each other very well. They're going to be Boston hitters are going to be very patient with Hill. And even though he's only pitched 35 innings, a lot of the numbers on the StatCast page are not solidified, just not enough pitches thrown yet. A lot of it is in the blue. He has not been that great, even though he's got that 3.31 ERA. I trust the expected ERA, much more than that. Lucas Giolito, very similar, 3.38 ERA, 5.00 expected ERA, 1.26 WHIP. While his extension is in the 72nd percentile, that's the only thing he does in as a pitcher that's in the red, meaning it's better than league average. Everything else is in the blue. The best other thing he does, hard hit rate, 48 percentile. So we've got two guys whose their ERAs are lower than the way they pitched this season. And I can't believe Lucas Giolito's got a 10-3 record with this 5-run expected ERA. That tells me that they tend to hit when he's on the mound, which points me to what I like on this game, and that's the total over. Boston, for if I'm correct, they've dominated the Yankees all season long.
Yeah.
But these are two teams that are mostly, when they get together, unless they've got some really good aces on the mound, they're going to be higher scoring games. We could get, there's 8.5s out there right now at minus 120, minus 125. I think that's not a bad bet there. It may be something I use on my card today, but I prefer the offenses here going against righties, and that's what most Major League Baseball teams do. 2/3 to 3/4 of the starters they see are right-handed. So, I kind of like the over here. I'm not fans of either one of these pitchers, and to get a number in Boston, either the 8.5 over or the 9 to the under is kind of a cheap number. So I like the over in this one.
Bryan, I think we have to do, this might be the first time, I think we're going to do the consensus parlay, because you and I both agree on, I think, what would be our two favorite totals of the day. That Rangers under and then over in this game. Before you even said that, I had my numbers up and I was like, wow, I've got a pretty big numerical edge on the total at 8.5. Both of these pitchers, you talked about expected ERA. And so I'll actually just go a different angle that I think helps this one over. We are at the point of the season where I don't think any hitter on the opposing team fears anyone coming out of that dugout, anyone coming out of that bullpen. All of these relievers have been hit at some point by the other team this year. And most of them, mostly Red Sox. I think the Red Sox have got to every Yankee reliever at some point in time this year. And the chat was right about that. Like, the Red Sox have, they've owned them this year. So now you get, Fenway Park definitely tends to be hitter friendly, right? And Yankees having to go on the road here is I would say less than ideal in terms of wins and losses type deal, but it doesn't mean they're not going to put up runs. And then you want to talk about the series that could absolutely have the late timely hit. It's really these two teams in a game that it means a lot to both teams. I think you're going to see leverage spots at the end of the game, and leverage spots, yes, you have your better relievers, but we call it the reason that the term high leverage comes from it's a hard spot to get out. It's a hard spot to save a run. And so I think there's you almost want those in a game when you have the over, right? You want the tough spot where you have to bring your top reliever in and maybe there's first and second with an out. They tend to produce runs. I think you could get runs late off both of these bullpens. And Bryan's already outlined both starters having blue on their StatCast page, being in line for regression, having poor expected ERA. So Bryan, I think we're going, forget whose leg is who. Let's just go consensus 2-teamer on the totals today. What can we get Yankees Red Sox at here? 8.5. What's the juice for 8.5?
The 8.5 right now are minus 25 to minus 30, or you can get the over at basically even money. So
should we do 9 even money? What do you think?
Plus 100 or 8.5 over.
Let's, you know what? Just based on what I think most people will be able to get throughout the day, let's go over 9 even money. Give us a little bit more odds on the parlay. Yeah. Worst case scenario, we land on 9, and then we have a straight bet instead of a parlay. So let's do that. I will run the odds, which is pretty much just a standard 2-teamer today. Right. 2 full game totals. I'll and then who knows? Maybe over the next 20 minutes, if we agree again, we'll just make it a consensus 3-teamer. You never know. We'll see what happens here. But I really believe that there's going to be runs in that game today. All right. Markinson, yeah, we'll go to one. I want to get what the chat wants. Markinson says D-backs Twins. I got to be honest, Brian. This is a series of this is a series I thought would mean a heck of a lot more. If you told me these two teams were going to play in the middle of September this year, I would have expected this series to be very meaningful because I figured both of these teams, and I'm talking about going back to April, I figured both these teams would be on the fringe of some sort of contention. Arizona in the mix for a wild card spot, the Twins maybe in the mix for the division, or at least in the playoff race. So very surprising now, bringing it up to present day, to see a D-backs Twin series in the middle of September. That means pretty much nothing at this point. Both these teams are out. The D-backs, although I want to, before I say that, Arizona, where are they they're still only 3 games back. So maybe Arizona's playing some meaningful ball here. It doesn't give me any more faith in them going to Minnesota and winning in this series just because they're quote unquote in it. It goes back to what you say, Brian, just because if you need to win at this point, you weren't that good in the first place. Brandon Pfaadt, not someone we've been a huge, the show has not been a huge fan of him this year. And it looks like Pablo Lopez is going to be back in the bigs. He's been at St. Paul for a while now, so he should be pretty back up to speed from a pitch count standpoint. Do you have anything here from Markinson? D-backs Twins.
Yeah, Diamondbacks now 1.9% to make the playoffs, even though they're only a game and a half behind the Giants. But they're plus 19 in run differential on the season. They're still a very good baseball team. They haven't had the breaks go their way. They're one game under 500, and I mentioned this the other day. A lot of these guys want to finish the season over 500. Depends on which team it is. If it's a veteran team that is really out of it, then they won't, like the Braves, something like that. That's not a big deal. But for the younger players, they want to have a winning record. Today we're looking at Pfaadt against Lopez. Lopez about a 140 favorite, total 8.5 here. Brandon Pfaadt, he's been a puzzle all season long. He's now gone 3 seasons, got a 5.10 ERA, 1.33 WHIP, but he should be better than that. His walk rate is 4.9%. That's great. That's what he excels in. But I think he's getting too much of the plate. You take a look at his barrel percentage, 10th percentile, hard hit rate, 15th percentile. He throws 6 pitches, 8% or more, 8% to 24%. He still is 4-seamer, which isn't that great. But he's got to play a little bit more on the edges, if you ask me. Maybe walk some more batters, keep the other team from getting him inside the zone, because his stats show that he's not that terrific when he does that. Pablo Lopez came back a little bit ago, and he's now got 12 starts on the season. Comes in at 2.84 ERA, 3.79 expected, 1.08 WHIP. A lot of red on his StatCast page, as you would assume, but his ground ball rate is in the 38th percentile, which is low. But overall, his extension is 93rd, walk rate 90th, chase rate 89th. He's a very good pitcher. If he's healthy, they've got a pretty good sizable edge here in this game. And that's why they're not a prohibitive favorite, but they're a good size favorite in this matchup, where I think Arizona is the better team. I don't know if I can trust Pfaadt here. Maybe, yeah, there's too many other games on the board that I have more of an opinion on, so I'm just going to pass on this.
I just wanted to, first of all, someone in the chat is saying I played against Notre Dame. Like, that's just false. I don't know why, obviously we'd appreciate it if you don't give our paid plays out in the chat. You'll probably be removed if you do that, but I didn't bet against Notre Dame. So that's just not accurate. I did bet against Notre Dame, Bryan Leonard, week 1 with the Miami Hurricanes, and they stomped them out. So, I mean, if we want to celebrate one of my week 1 college football wins here, we can do that. But yeah, no action for or against Notre Dame for me this week in college football. Probably no action for me in this game either. I will say that, they gave him 3 starts at AAA. My initial angle when this game got brought up was, Pablo Lopez being one of these guys that had got the full sort of rub on the rehab and was down there for a long time. He actually wasn't. In my head, he was down there a while, but he only made 3 starts at St. Paul. And they actually weren't particularly good. The best start for him was his first one back in the big leagues. Last time out, 6 innings, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk against the Royals. Problem with the Royals is they can't really hit. As Bryan Leonard already pointed out, this Diamondbacks team can hit, and this Arizona team will not make the playoffs in spite of having a lineup that is very, very playoff caliber. It was the pitching and the injuries to the bullpen and guys like Zach Gallen not having very good seasons and guys like Corbin Burns getting hurt. That's the reason Arizona is not going to make the playoffs this year. It has not been their offense. They've been a top 10 offense in WRC plus all year. And wouldn't surprise me if they were able to get something off of Lopez. At the same time, I haven't been very high on Fott. So what do we have for a total on this one? I think I'd go over here as well.
Yeah,
I think it's 8.5.
8.5, yeah.
I don't know that I like that as much as the Yankees Red Sox over, but this is one that I could only at that number, which is key number when it comes to totals. You're talking about Fott, who has a profile that I want to fade. Pablo Lopez, who he had the good start against the Royals. He was not good for 3 starts at St. Paul. I believe opponent batting average against in those 3 rehab starts was over 300. This Diamondbacks team can still hit. And I think that gets lost a little bit in where they're at in terms of outside looking in. This team can absolutely still rake, and they have no bullpen. And right now the Twins, I forgot about this, which probably should be pointed out. The Twins have traded away every leverage reliever that they had. So there's really nothing. There's no consistency at the end of the game for Minnesota either. Feels like one of those games, Brian, where there's runs, opportunities throughout, and it's only 8.5. So why not take the 8.5 there? Is the way I look at that one. All right. Let's see. Here we go. And Turnbuckle Tommy makes kind of a good point. The D-backs as just from the sheer fact that you're going to get plus money here against the Twins. I do kind of agree with that statement. Wow. Plus 120. It's almost like this truly feels like it should just be a minus 105 type coin flip each way. So I wouldn't argue with you if you were like, hey, there's some value there on the underdog. Yeah, because who the hell knows what's going to happen with either of these two teams? All I see is runs. So yeah, I wouldn't put you off taking the plus money there. And I think, Brian, some sharp people have come in and decided that they were going to do that, because I think this one's moved down about 10 to 15 cents since before we got on the show. You said Twins were minus 140 at one point. I'm thinking they're probably close to minus 120 now. So I can't confirm that though.
I just 120 range yet. The lowest I'm seeing is 134. But
okay,
yeah.
So I have one of the sharper books that I look at has moved lower than that. I don't know if it's a precursor, but wouldn't surprise me one bit, because that plus money, especially that type of plus money, plus 120, plus 125.
Yeah.
On that Diamondbacks lineup is not a bad deal. All right, let's see where we're going to go from here. I want to get one more of the kind of the games that are really going to impact the race. Let's go out west. Let's do one more of these out west. Bryan Leonard, how do the Mariners keep winning games? They could have lost every game this week. I watched every game of that Cardinals series. I didn't feel like they were the quote unquote better team in any of them. I do think they did what they needed to win. I'm obviously furious about how Wednesday night's game played out. I stayed up until God knows what, 2 Eastern, watched every pitch of that game and sat there saying, I'm going to get screwed here, because the Cardinals can't score and all the Mariners do is hit home runs. It's the approach from inning 8 to inning 13 at the plate for the Mariners was so bad. 1 through 9, swinging for the fence. There was 0 attempt to try to end that game on a base hit. Every guy on that lineup, 1 through 9, was trying to hit a bomb to walk it off. And then in the bottom of the 13th, it was Leo Rivas, of all people, that walks it off. with a 2-run homer. Fast forward to last night, and they do it again. But Bryan, this is back-to-back nights where they've now played 13 innings and 11 innings, 12 innings. I'm sorry, 13 innings and 12 innings. And that's on the heels of 2 close games. So I ask you here, are the Mariners, who's coming out of the bullpen after Castillo today? Maybe Tokyo Brandon might have to stop in Seattle on his way and throw a couple innings of relief, because I don't know where they're going to get bullpen arms for this game.
Yeah, it's a great game to talk about. I do want to touch on, since there is football games today, I put out a $5 play in college football earlier in the week. I pulled it down because I wanted people to get it for $5. I still like it. It's still a very good play. I just didn't want to sell it to anybody else, and I wanted to give it to everybody for $5, and they got that, and I appreciate everybody that bought it. But yes, I still like that play. I just did not want to sell it for 25 when you could have got it for $5. And so anyway, yeah, this is the game that I had circled coming in to find a way to play this one way or the other. And because I'm with you, Seattle, this is what, 2 or 3 games in a row. They're on a little nice winning streak, and now they're tied for first place with the Astros. And in this division, anybody who's in first place is a team I want to go against, because they don't want to hold on to that. They're winning it by default, and that's the situation we've got here with Seattle. Kikuchi, the lefty, going against Seattle, and Castillo. I was a little surprised by the total here being 7.5. Yesterday, the total was 7.5, and I liked yesterday's pitchers better than today's pitcher. Kikuchi comes in here. Castillo's about a 180 favorite right now, in that range, 180, 185. Total 7.5. I don't want any part of Seattle at that number. I'll tell you that right now. Kikuchi comes in at 4.18 ERA, 4.68 expected, 1.48 on the WHIP. He's not had a good season. His extension in the 80th percentile, and everything else is basically in the blue. It's been a down season for the guy, but in this price range, I may have some interest. Castillo comes in 3.85 ERA, 4.35 expected, 1.27 WHIP, which is high for him. And the only good thing on the board for him when it comes to the StatCast page is his walk rate, 76th percentile. But his extension is the 1st percentile, hard hit rate 6th percentile, average exit velocity 10th, barrel rate 13th. Is that really a guy you want to back in the 180 range? I don't. I think the better way we could play this, if you don't want to take the big plus money with the Angels, and I can understand that. While Seattle's been winning these late games, the Angels have been losing these late games, and the Angels bullpen is not very good. But if you take a look at the team total here, you can get, if the Angels score 4 runs, you're getting plus money back, because the 3.5 is under anywhere from like 132 to 140. So you get a decent plus money back by them scoring 4 runs in this game. So if you were to combine with the Angels scoring 4 runs and the Angels on the money line, 2 different ways to attack this game, but I like them both. I think Seattle's playing very favorable baseball right now. And yes, I know they're excited. They're tied for first place now. But have they really deserved these victories? I haven't seen any better play out of them. So, yeah, I'm finding a way to play the Angels or the Angels team total over in this game.
I love it. That's how I would go as well. First thought was, with how much bullpen usage the Mariners have had this week, the last 2 days, and just the general state of the Angels bullpen, how could this full game total possibly only be 7.5? That was my first thought there. 7.5 over -110, -115. Crazy. I'm not saying Kikuchi won't throw a good game. He's very capable of doing so. I'm less inclined to think Castillo throws a good game. He's kind of the one I would want to go against in this rotation. But I mean, again, you're going to be asking some real depth arms to come through for the Mariners, and the Angels just don't have a great bullpen at this point. So I like the over, and yeah, I'm down with the Angels as well. I think if this is, so right now where it's priced, Angels plus 1.5 is -130, but the Mariners have been taking money like every day this week. I got sucked in on Wednesday when I could get Cardinals plus 1.5 minus, it was like -110 or something like that. So I will have a close eye on the Angels here. If I can get like 10 to 15 more cents on that plus 1.5, I'll probably play that. That is a good chance that hits my client card. But either way, 7.5 seems awfully low for a total in a game where you could get, and let the Mariners. I mean, they literally play for 3 runs at a time. That is how they're, Kikuchi could navigate the whole game, and maybe he throws 6 scoreless. But if they get a couple of guys on, and Kikuchi will walk guys. I mean, he's been prone to giving a free pass here or there. I mean, one crooked number, 1 2-run shot, one Cal Raleigh into the seats, and suddenly the Mariners have 2-3 runs. I think you're going to go over 7 as well. So yeah, that's another total I like quite a bit. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I wanted to touch you. You mentioned the Mariners bullpen. Going back to Monday, they used their best 3 relievers, Munoz, Brash, and Bizzardo. On Tuesday, they used 5 relievers, including their best 3 guys. On Wednesday, they used 6 different relievers. And then yesterday, they used 6 different relievers, including Munoz, Brash, and Bizzardo. So their 7th, 8th, and 9th inning guys have been used 3 out of the last 4 days. Chances are you may not see any of them in this game. Then you take a look at Spires and Ferguson. They pitched 2 out of the last 3. Vargas, Jackson, and Castillo have all pitched back-to-back games. Then you got Emerson Hancock, who they just brought to a reliever. It would not surprise me if Emerson Hancock comes in as like a long reliever in this game.
Yep, that's what they want him to do. Yep.
Yeah, and he's looked good out of the bullpen, no doubt about it. But this is a really short bullpen that they're going to have tonight. It's a later game, so they may make some moves from the minor leagues. They haven't done that in a while, so maybe they'll take some of these guys, send them down for a day, a few days, and switch them out. But it's not the bullpen we've gotten used to for Seattle, and they've had a pretty good bullpen all season long. Very good bullpen, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, if we could find the over or the Angels in this game, there's got to be ways to play it. I think that's overall. There's no way Seattle should be priced in this price range. I'm even seeing a 190 out there, Fanatics and Caesars. So a lot of the public books are making you pay because they think Seattle's hot. I'm not a believer.
So a couple things I have to respond to here. One, Tacoma has no relievers, so that's an issue. That is a horrible bullpen right now down at AAA. I don't think there's anyone that they really want to bring up. Not that they wouldn't just bring up someone to have a warm body, but there's not any plus relievers down there on that team right now. 2, someone said Emerson Hancock is trash in the chat. Emerson Hancock, they moved him to the bullpen at Tacoma, and suddenly he was throwing 99 miles an hour. And he came into that game on Wednesday that I was talking about, threw 97, 98 and looked great. So he is a great option for them, in my opinion, out of the bullpen. He's throwing harder than he ever has because he's always been a starter for his whole career. And I think they may have struck gold there with Hancock, Brian, because he at no point until like 3 weeks ago, he had never come out of the bullpen in affiliated ball, which means that he showed up at the organization. He was a starter, and he had been a starter up until like a couple of weeks ago. They move him to the bullpen. Suddenly, he only has to throw an inning or 2. Guy's velo is up to 98, 99. Don't sleep on Emerson Hancock. Trig has something against Seattle. You must be new to the show. I am so heavily invested in the Mariners, like it's not even funny. And if the Astros win this division, your boy is screwed. So nothing against Seattle for me here. I have been on them since May. I have them to win the division. I have them to make the playoffs. I have them to win the American League, to win the World Series. I need Seattle dearly. I'm just handicapping the game for what the game is today. So nothing against Seattle for me. And yes, this is a Colgate shirt. Someone commented on my shirt. Threw the Colgate shirt on because they play Syracuse in football tonight. And because it's just me and Bryan today, I'm going to give you a little free football info here. Colgate's got a new head coach. It's the guy that won a Division III national championship at Cortland. I think he's going to do a really good job for Colgate. And this team, Colgate, right in my backyard, Central New York, has been bad for a really long time. Their program kind of went to shit, 2-10 the last couple of years. I think they're going to play Syracuse tough tonight. Now, tough considering like the spread is 37.5. I was kind of hoping for 40. Maybe that was a little bit greedy, Brian, but who knows? Someone may bet Syracuse at some point today. They like, the market likes to bet these FBS schools against FCS. If that gets up to 40, your boy's probably betting Colgate tonight. And this is, someone's like, was that a Cubs shirt or a red shirt? Nope. Colgate, Raiders, Central New York, Hamilton, New York. So I just wanted to clarify that. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out, because I thought the same thing. And I saw you with the Colgate shirt. I go, that's strange. And then I saw they were playing Syracuse. Normally, I know it's a baseball show. Normally, if the line at 37.5, you don't see a big change. Circa, the probably takes more money in Vegas than anywhere, and they've got a few other states now. Somebody just hit Colgate and brought it down to 35.5. So if you do want to play Colgate, grab that 37.5 now, because for a 2-point change in the line, Circa's telling you right now, somebody that they respect came in and bet Colgate, and they're dying for money to come in on Syracuse. So if you are going to bet a game tonight, and you're not going to use one of our regular plays, get something for free. Yeah, I could see playing Colgate right now at 37.5.
Yeah, and I thought it was ambitious to get higher, but I will tell you one other thing about Syracuse is it's kind of like a walk. I talked to one of the season ticket holder I know well at a dinner the other night, and basically he was like, "Yeah, this is pretty much a walkthrough. They got Clemson next week; it's a road game, and you're just not going to see. You're probably going to spread the minutes around. So I'm actually seeing, well, we can see it because I think this is going to move quickly. So I am. Hey, let's see what we still have here. Because still there is still 37.5s out there, quite a few places.
A lot of them.
I am giving that out for 3% right now. So you get one of my football plays for free. Just because I wore the shirt. There's a great question from the chat. So it's a baseball show, but I know you guys want the paid plays. Someone was trying to give him out in the chat earlier, so I'm just going to beat you to it. I'm just going to give it out myself, but I just locked that in right now. Colgate plus 37.5. Last year, so now that we're now we just might as well go into it. Now that we're talking about it, we've already got the parlay locked in. There's only 3 minutes left. Last year, the Patriot League team that came in and played Syracuse was Holy Cross. I believe the final score of that game was 42-14. 42-14. So what's that? You're trying to do math in my head. 28-point difference. My gut says it's going to be a similar game. I think you're going to get a similar game right there to that game because Colgate's much, much improved from what they were last year. Syracuse is worse, in my opinion. That's another thing. Let me just make a point here. This Syracuse team is not good. If there's one takeaway from this show that you really take away, other than all the great baseball info we've given out today, Syracuse football sucks this year. They are not good. They lost everyone from last year. Kyle McCord was one of the best quarterbacks we'll ever have here in Central New York. They're just not a good football team. And they've now played Tennessee and UConn back-to-back weeks. I don't know if they've announced guys out, but guys are definitely banged up. And there's no way they're going to risk guys getting hurt when they have Clemson on the road next week, a game that Syracuse cares about for whatever reason. Syracuse has this they think Clemson's their rival because they're just delusional fans, but Clemson doesn't give a shit about Syracuse. For whatever reason, Syracuse cares about Clemson just because 6 years ago they upset them on a Friday night as a 24-point underdog. So for whatever reason, Cuse really cares about that Clemson game. And I have a feeling that most of the starters will be out by halftime. So 37.5 points, Bryan. Colgate Raiders head coach Kurt Fitzpatrick won a D3 national championship at Cortland State, which is where Mallory went to college. So that was 2 years ago. Very cool moment for Cortland. And I think he's going to do a great job at Colgate. So you never know what you're going to get on this show. And it turned into a college football show for 10 minutes. So
I ended up playing it myself. I just sent it to clients for a 1.5 star.
Love that. Love that we're all on Colgate tonight.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a work in progress. 37.5 points, a lot of points though. So let's go Raiders. Great helmet, by the way, Bryan. Their helmet, they went back to the old sort of Colgate logo where it just says gate with the apostrophe. Very, very underrated logo. This is the new style logo, this kind of Cubs looking C. But back in the day, they had the C with the apostrophe gate, and the helmets just say gate. Tremendous helmet. I was at the Colgate opener, against Monmouth, and that was very cool. So, all right, we are at the end of the show. Wow, free client football plays from both of us on the show. How about that? I bet you guys didn't think that you were going to leave this show betting the Colgate Raiders tonight, plus 37 and whatever points, but here we are. And we also got a two-teamer for you that we both very much agree on. So really more of a consensus two-teamer tonight. And it's going to be pretty standard two-team odds, but I will, just for the heck of it, run it here quickly. We have, what did you say? It was minus 110 on that Rangers under?
Texas under minus 110, and yours is plus 100.
Yeah, so we'll take plus 281 on that parlay, and obviously shop it around, but give or take. So that's your parlay today. Rangers Mets under 7.5, Yankees Red Sox over 9, and then a separate bet. You said you put 1.5 units on Colgate.
Yeah,
love it. I gave it out for 3 units to my clients. So feel free to go ahead and throw some units on the Colgate Raiders, because that's what our clients will be doing as well. Plus 37.5, which might be gone by the time we're off the show, because people love to copy Circus. So if they move, you can pretty much rest assured that these other books are going to move it. But that's what you get for tuning in live right here. Yeah, that's what you get for showing up live. So we appreciate you guys. Over 1,000 of you in the chat live, which is awesome. It's 10 a.m. That's all for us today. We will see you guys on Monday. Good luck this weekend. Cash all your tickets. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.